Thank you for always choosing yours truly, WoezorTV. Today, as I intimated earlier on the Breakfast Cafe, we bring you the live coverage of the bilateral meeting with His Excellency John Mahama and the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, at the Pediase Presidential Lodge. And so we are anticipating a number of agreements signing, a number of talks on several aspects of the country as part of his three-day visits to the Republic of Ghana. So stay and stay as we bring you the live coverage. Minister Neko.
It's a different environment from where you are in Accra, because we are currently positioned on the breezy Kuapem Ridge, the Pediase Lodge to be precise, where His Excellency John Mahama will be receiving the visiting President of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is joining some delegation from Zimbabwe for bilateral talks here at Pediase. Now, one significant thing about this visit is that this bilateral talks will be focusing on some key areas of the economy: agriculture, sanitation, human capital development, etc. I'll be telling you more about that, but I can tell you that all is set for the bilateral meeting here today. You remember that yesterday was a welcoming party at the Jubilee Lounge of the Accra International Airport around 3 p.m. when the Zimbabwean president and his delegation touched down. And so after the ceremonies at the Jubilee Lounge of the Accra International Airport, the president again hosted him to a state banquet at the Kampiski Hotel at Gold Coast City, Accra. And yesterday, the two leaders made some pronouncements through the statements or the speeches they delivered at the state banquet, basically touching on the mutual relations between the two countries. Ghana seeing or looking up to Zimbabwe as a younger country, an in-law, a country that has had some very good relations because especially of the bond between our first president, Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and then Robert Mugabe. Now, beyond that, many people have also been looking at the specifics into the issues that will come to play when the two countries meet. So today at the bilateral meeting, we expect that all these things will be ironed out. This afternoon, the central band of the Ghana Armed Forces will be here to play the national anthems of the two countries. And the indication we have is that any moment from now, the president of Zimbabwe's convoy should be entering the compound here at the Pediase Lodge. The Pediase Lodge is very significant because of the strategic role it plays for the government of Ghana. Way back in the late 50s and early 60s, it was significant. I'll tell you much more about this edifice here. But let me help you to appreciate what will be happening today as part of the three-day visit by the president of Zimbabwe and his large delegation. The indication we have is that about 80 to 85 of them came with the president. So it means that Zimbabwe means business. Zimbabwe has been an economy which is rebounding because of the crisis they faced in the early 2000s to the late 2020s after 2000, because of the challenge then Robert Mugabe had with Europe. You remember that there were some aspects of violence. People suggested it was about racial discrimination, but typically the Zimbabweans at the time felt that they have large vasts of land, and Zimbabwe is known to be one of the agriculture growing countries, or the economy of that country depends on agriculture. So when the blacks of Zimbabwe at the time felt that all the arable lands were owned by the minority whites, some of them used violent means to grab those lands. Since then, there was some heavy sanctions on Zimbabwe, and this really crippled their economy to the extent that their currency was described as the worst in the world. Since the exit of Robert Mugabe, the current president who took over from him, His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, has done well to get the economy back on its track again. Some of the countries which were a bit hard on Zimbabwe have softened their positions and trying to make new deals with the current administration. The current administration is also trying to leverage on Africa and Africa's resources through bilateral meetings like what we are going to expect in Ghana today. And so in your short, I'm sure you would have noticed that we are giving you an aerial view of the arrival of His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is winding through the beautiful highway along the Kwiapim Ridge towards the Pediasi Lodge here near Ebri, where His Excellency John Mahama will be receiving him. The president of Ghana actually arrived here a few minutes ago, and the protocols here is that he is hosting His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, and because he will be hosting His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, it means that he has to be at this presidential lodge, this particular facility, which was built as far back as in 1959, which was supposed to be another state residence for the president of this country. This facility has been used for several things, for diplomatic engagement, for major national meetings, and of course it's also a retreat. And so in your short, I can tell you that His Excellency the president of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, is just arriving, and his vehicle is being ushered to the forecourt of the Pediasi Lodge, where he will alight any moment from now. So for now, I can tell you on authority that his security detail has started arriving, and his motorcade should be entering the facility here as we speak. It's a very beautiful edifice. The greenery is something very spectacular, and I can also tell you that the delegation from the Zimbabwean side has already arrived here at the Pediasi Lodge. Officials from the Ghanaian side are also here. I did some few checks, and the understanding I have is that the memorandum of understanding to be signed by the two countries will cover areas of agriculture, sports, recreation, trade, sanitation, human capital development by way of education and exchange programs in education, health, sovereignty. You recall that earlier this morning when I engaged Randy on the morning show, I spoke about why His Excellency John Mahama stands tall when it comes to health and health infrastructure and access to healthcare, especially in typical rural areas. So under his regime, from 2012 to 2016, is credited to major health facilities, including at least 2 quaternary facilities, that is the Ghana Medical Health Center and then the Bank of Ghana Hospital. Beyond that, the Ports and Harbours Authority also set up such a facility. We have the Dodowa Hospital, which is in the eastern region, some few meters away from here. Beyond that, we also have the Ridge Hospital, and several of them are the district, municipal, and capitals. And again, the health centers, which have also been built in the way of CHIPS compound. So Zimbabwe, being a country that is crawling back from the crisis that virtually crippled the economy, from access to facilities for social interventions to job creation to a number of people who are living in poverty, will be tapping into Ghana's experience and to leverage on what the two countries can share together. This month, for example, His Excellency John Mahama will be launching the free primary healthcare initiative. That initiative is targeting poor people who don't have access. You know, the National Health Insurance scheme has been designed such that once you subscribe, you have access to almost free medical care. But the free primary health care is going to extend this, and I believe that all these conversations and experiences will be shared. And so the Ghana Armed Forces Central Band is set. As soon as His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, arrives here at the Pediasi Lodge, he will be ushered, his vehicle will be ushered to the forecourt of the facility. He will alight. His Excellency John Mahama will exit from the Pediasi Lodge. They will exchange pleasantries when he welcomes him. The national anthem of the two countries will be played. Then at the entrance we have the flag of the two countries where they will have the photo opportunity. After the photo opportunity, the two leaders will retire into the building and go to the presidential lounge, where they will wait briefly for the bilateral teams to be set. Once they are set, the two leaders will walk into the bilateral room for the bilateral meeting to begin. Obviously, there will be opening remarks by the two sides. After the opening remarks, we will see the proper engagements that will fine-tune the agreements that will be signed today, including that of sanitation, I understand, because Just One Group has who has done a lot of investment in some countries in West Africa is perhaps going to make an entry into Zimbabwe. So His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa has just arrived at the Pediasi Lodge here on the Equiapim Ridge, one of the state residences or presidential resort where the bilateral talks will take place. And so the motorcade have just navigated around the stopover area, and his vehicle is now gradually moving into the area where the will be expecting him to stay. So in your shot is the arrival of the Zimbabwean president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was in the country yesterday, who was treated to a state banquet yesterday, and this morning here at Pediasi Lodge he will be stepping out to greet the president. And so in your shot you will soon see the president of Zimbabwe, who has just alighted from his vehicle. He will be stepping out to climb to where His Excellency John Mahama is waiting. Yes, that's a beautiful handshake between the two leaders, Ghana being the host country, and of course Zimbabwe being the visiting party. Will be here for 3 days, this day too. So we'll be taking the national anthem of the two countries. And so once the anthem of the two countries is played, it will signify the beginning of the engagement here at the Pediasi Lodge. And so from the nature of the program, the two leaders are now taking photographs. This is memorable because this facility was built by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah as far back as 1959. I understand that his first daughter, Samia Nkrumah, was also born in this facility. You know much more about this edifice when I walk you through some of the facilities it has. But the two leaders have now taken their photographs. They have entered the main building. They will reside to the presidential lounge where they will freshen up. They will have some tete-a-tete. At the time they are having their tete-a-tete, we expect that delegates from both sides who are going to be participating in a bilateral meeting will be taking position. Once they take position, the principals will be invited to join them for the commencement of the bilateral meeting. But let me give you some brief about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's economy, I told you, is rebounding. As we speak, the GDP of Zimbabwe, we understand, is around $44 billion. This country has largely dependent on maize exports, tobacco exports as some of the major sources of revenue. It has also, in terms of minerals, gold, lithium, tourism. It's also another key area Zimbabwe has been interested in. Lithium plays a critical role because if you look at the bilateral agreement they are going to sign, one of them focuses on mining and responsible mining. And Ghana recently discovered lithium. And if you recall, Parliament just recently passed a bill that gives the investor the room to operate, and more so the Ghana's portion in terms of the agreement and the benefit. And so if Zimbabwe has been in this industry for years, it would mean that many of these countries will be sharing experiences, and in case of mining, Ghana will be tapping into some key things Zimbabwe has done in the past, and of course the challenges that may have also led to the country's inability to maximize profits in terms of revenue generation. In our part of the country, Ghana's president talks about Africa's sovereignty. He talks about Ghana virtually owning back our resources where we can add value, create job opportunities, increase our revenue potential to develop this country. And so it means that these key things will be of interest to all the parties who will be part of the bilateral meeting today. Again, poverty, unemployment is very high in Zimbabwe, and there is no doubt that in many African countries like Ghana, poverty would also play a key role, and of course unemployment, which has also been central to major topical issues Ghanaians have been speaking to. But the big picture out there is two countries who identify themselves as developing, who identify themselves as countries which have enough rich resources, countries which must demonstrate commitment to improving governance and how the people can benefit from this. And so you would notice from the environment here at Peduase that everything is set, and the two presidents should be joining the bilateral meeting any moment from now. But let me give you some brief background to how this whole conversation began. Yesterday, around 3 p.m., the president of Zimbabwe arrived in Ghana. His plane touched down at the Kotoka International Airport. At the airport was a welcome ceremony, and that ceremony was led by His Excellency John Mahama. So at this stage, we will be wrapping up, and shortly we should come back to you to join the bilateral meeting here at Peduase Lodge.
So that was the first part of the bilateral meeting with His Excellency John Mahama. He's hosting with the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Stay and stay. We'll be back with the second part for you.